Feminism didn't ruin women, it explained them in clear and concise detail. The details are clearly drawn out, the measurements and specifications of the female mind are rigorously delineated by the last 60 years of social interaction between men and women. The fact is that, taken as a collective, women will do whatever it takes to extract protection and provision from men. Men devise institutions such as marriage to dress it up as something other than what it is. But what it is nothing more than having a biological imperative to reproduce, and women having a biological imperative to ensure their well-being via men. These tenets lead us to the inevitable conclusion that the seeds of our very existence creates in equal amounts a basic need for intraspecies cooperation and conflict between the genders. Our need to come to a common ground for the betterment of our species will always be tempered by an ever-present need to exploit each other for what the other gender has that the other gender lacks and craves on the biological level. The great miscalculation that women have made is that they believe that feminism has freed them from their dependency on the male gender. The state is substituting the provision and protection that men would normally provide in such a way that women are convinced that men are no longer needed. And what has resulted in the ensuing 50 years of feminism is a display of betrayal from women against men in concert with the state that is quite frankly astounding in scope, unforgettable for its cold savagery, and deeply saddening for the men that always suspected this betrayal to inevitably come to pass, but went on erecting an entire civilization pretending it wouldn't. The state has done a very good job of framing the advances of women as evidence that they no longer depend on men, while deriving the energy for these advancements from a civilizational engine of male labor and utility. And so what has resulted is a temporary glimpse into the part of the female psyche that she agreed not to divulge, so that the male's inherent superior creative ability was not hampered by the thought that women only desired his presence for access to the benefits of it. The time has arrived for men to put away childish notions of romantic love between men and women. It's precisely men's desperation to believe in the female's ability to desire us in anything past a biological capacity that has hoodwinked us into not paying extra attention and emphasis on the prefix in the word matrimony. We no longer have the excuse. The evidence is clear. Romantic love is a sham. The genders are at best in an uneasy alliance at all times and at worst locked in a struggle of constant gender warfare. And in fact, I posit the theory that the only real way to end this perpetual intergender power struggle is if one side completely surpasses its need for the other. And the savagery with which women have attacked men since the onset of feminism is indicative of their belief, albeit an incorrect one, that they have transcended their need for men altogether. The fact that the marginalization of men produces less and less male resources to draw upon ensures that feminism will run out of steam, and when it does, men will almost certainly pretend that the last few decades of feminism just didn't happen, or at the very least that women were unwitting manipulated victims instead of conscious co-conspirators, and were it not for the advantages men are about to receive, it would continue on this way perpetually, even if 1,000 reincarnations of feminism emerged and imploded in on themselves one right after another. You see, one of the more insidious lies perpetuated by feminism is that which holds the belief that all power is and always has been held by men, that women are at the whim of male authority. The opposite is in fact true, in that women have an almost limitless amount of power encapsulated in their reproductive ability, at least in terms of the two parties initiating the trade. Man's greatest folly is that he has the ability to carve out civilization with his bare hands and peer into the mysteries of the universe with his mind, but in the end, very few of his kind were doing it for any other reason other than getting laid and passing on his genes. For all of his ability, man has always been, at least to a degree, at the mercy of female sexual power. But the very technology that has convinced women of men's redundancy is the same technology that has us on the precipice of developing, in 50 or 60 years, or less, a fully functioning external womb capable of supplanting the immense female power entirely. Men are in the position, for the first time in history, to unilaterally and unequivocally end gender warfare forever by using his scientific ability to initiate the most profound power grab in human history in such a way that will render women completely incapable of leveraging their reproductive ability against men ever again. And so the immediate after effects of such a technological advancement is definitely worth exploring. First, let's examine abortion. The advent of artificial womb technology will render the abortion debate completely irrelevant, as a fetus will no longer be required to develop inside its mother's womb, thus creating no infringement on the female's control over her own body. Thus, abortion will more than likely be deemed to be illegal, or at the very least a decision that is not made solely by the mother. The father will almost certainly have at the very least a 50% right to demand that his unborn child be allowed to live. If abortion is even still legal at that point, the state will unfortunately act as arbitrator over the life of the unborn child, and an entire legal industry over abortion arbitration law will probably spring up, since feminists will vehemently resist any male control over the decision to carry a fetus to term. Now, as I've shown in previous videos, there have been numerous precedents set in which men were charged with attempted murder for slipping women the abortion pill, when those same women could have theoretically aborted the fetus the same exact day, and it would only have been considered to be an excision of a cluster of cells. The battle over abortion, at least in regards to feminists, has always been about giving women the maximum amount of control over which men get to reproduce, and minimizing as much as possible the amount of sway that a man holds over the pregnancy that he helped create in equal parts. The larger and broader general effect will be one in which women are rendered completely powerless to attack men via the state ever again. The main male contribution to the development of our species is one that has been forged, that was worked for and developed over millennia. It's not simply an innate superiority. And I suspect that the innate degree to which men are superior to women intellectually isn't as drastic as we would like to think. What is almost certainly vastly superior in men, however, is the male ability to overcome hardship and challenge. When Einstein was developing the math for his theory of relativity on paper notes that have been thoroughly scrutinized by countless mathematicians and historians, it was famously said that Einstein's greatest achievement wasn't his brilliance, but his ability to stubbornly and doggedly pursue the problem that eluded him for months or even years until finally he was able to crack it. His pursuit of knowledge was as much of a monumental achievement as his capacity to understand it was. And this type of dedication is characteristically male. I mean, it can be found in females, absolutely, but it has been bred into men over millennia by the women that selected for it sexually, and that very quality is what has led men to the point of being poised on being able to simulate the main female contribution to the perpetuation of the human race, which is immediately biological and requires no long, gradual process of sexual selection to manufacture. Within the next few decades, some scientists, most likely male, will put the final puzzle piece into place and we will have mastered ectogenesis. But for women to achieve parity with men in their ability for innovative, outside-the-box, revolutionary thinking that has heralded every major human invention since the Stone Age will most likely take a process spanning millions of years. Now, the purpose of this video isn't to discourage men from fighting for their equal rights under the law today. But what is our ultimate goal here? I mean, we can ask women to play nice all we want, but the fact is that women only understand power. This is a gender war, and men are asking women to relinquish privileges that, collectively speaking, Brifelt's law dictates them as being unable to do so. Now, for the time being, surrogacy laws should be advocated for, and other means of circumventing the power that women currently own in their reproductive ability should be pursued. In the future, however, we will, non-violently, deprive women of the power that comes along with this, and we'll do so by creating our own path to human reproduction. That's all I gotta say for now. Thoughts and comments are welcome.